Good.
Get it.
All right. Guys, welcome to Team Call Book Club amazingness. We're so happy to be here. But for reals, thank you for showing up. This is huge, especially this time of year. Christmas is crazy, and it shows a lot of dedication and commitment for you guys to show up. So I'm happy to see faces. So for our team call, Christy, do you have any announcements or anything?
Well, so I'd love to do shout outs, but announcements, Emily's party that is actually turning into like everyone on Brooke's team party is December 28th. I am going to come. I wasn't going to because that was going to be our chunk of like at home time, just hanging here in Southern Utah, but I'm going to come because I want to see you guys. So please come on December 28th. I would love to see your beautiful faces and hug you and hang out. So that's happening. Did everyone watch the call from last night? Or like, have you heard about the Power Hour? Wasn't it awesome, Kimberly? Did you love that?
Mm-hmm. It was so awesome.
Yeah, so I just want to make sure that everybody is in the know with the Renew You Challenge. I just put a post up in Synergy. This is maybe something that I should share really quick. So they're actually making it, oh, Katie, sad day. I will miss you. They're actually making it a little bit more doable because, long story short, we can. So if you have, how many of you have seen the information about the Renew You and you're like, well, I've already bought my product for the month. Like, I have to buy another Renew You pack. Like, that's how it was. But we're actually changing it so that it's already changed. It's like something that's understood. If you go to your order and you see what isn't in the Renew You pack. So let's say you've ordered your Slim, your ProBio 5, your Bio Cleanse, all ready for the month. You've already got your triplex. All you have to order is whatever isn't there. So you would need like your Lean, Active, and MetaBurn. Does that make sense? So in the Renew You pack, just get that graphic and look at what you've ordered and then order whatever isn't in what you haven't ordered already, and that's going to count.
Does that count for brand new ambassadors like that ordered their packs?
So no, it will count for brand new ambassadors need to have a Renew You pack, or if
well, what about someone that enrolled at the beginning of this month?
Yeah,
so with the ambassador this month.
With which welcome pack?
The $199. I think it was a variety.
Oh, so if they order whatever isn't in there,
they'll be fine.
Equate the Renew You, they'll be fine.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they're just doing it for December because, long story short, originally it was just going to be for new ambassadors. So that was totally cut and dry. The December 16th was fine, but they're trying to make it easier for us. So they're like, well, why don't we do it for current ambassadors too? But then it kind of threw off everything with orders. So what they're doing is making it right so that we can, create a situation that works. So does everybody understand? There's going to be, I made sure, I was like, is there an FAQ with examples so that everyone's clear on it? And there will be. So watch your emails, watch the help center if you have questions on that. But that is happening. So all we need, oh, please sneak away. I will die. I need my people. Okay, love it. ADD squirrel, right? So what you need for the Renew You is very simple, but you got to make sure you do the things. Register yourself, right? The registration link is in Synergy Plexus Builders. Put it in the search bar. You'll be able to find it super quick. So you register yourself, and then you buy a Renew You pack. Like we said, either an actual pack or make sure that you've bought in December the equivalent, right? So you have all the elements in your orders. And then you need another Renew You order next month. They will not be doing, since we know ahead of time, you'll just need to purchase a Renew You for January. So make sure that you adjust your subscriptions or whatever you need to do so that you have that for next month, because that's going to be part of the qualification. And then to get 4 people, either current ambassadors or new ambassadors, to do the same thing. Register for the challenge, buy a Renew You pack, and you get an Apple Watch. That is freaking amazing, you guys. Holy moly. I've already got one from the Power Hour last night. I actually got one ambassador already enrolled. I did an experiment and just kept it really simple. She's like, okay, cool, sign me up. Like, it was so easy. So I got one already. I'm committed to get 3 more. So anyway, Renew You is awesome. Reach out. If you haven't seen the Power Hours, you guys, we've gone through today and last night. We've gone through how to use some really good verbiage to help you take advantage of the Renew You with your white lines, people that have stopped ordering, less than 100 PV, current ambassadors that are happy on their products, and of course, new people. So do those Power Hours in the next couple of days. I know it's crazy. It's crazy for all of us. But as you do that, you're going to be so prepared for what's coming at the end of the month. Okay? So I think shout outs, and then we can get into it. What do you think, Kimberly?
Yep, let's do it. Who wants to start with shout outs?
I'll go.
Okay.
I'm sad that she's not on the call, but I really wanted to shout out Carrie Smith. Carrie is so dedicated to sharing Plexus, even though December is so crazy and busy. She hosted a sip and see at her house last Monday, and she had all these people that were confirmed coming, and she only had 2 people show up. So she rescheduled again for this week, which was yesterday. And I've been Zooming in to talk to people. That's how I know. And she had 1 person come yesterday, but she is still messaging everybody, asking them when a good time for them would be. And I just really admire her commitment to like rescheduling, and we're not giving up on this. And she just wants to get people over there so she can share. And I just really admire that about her. So I just had to share. I think she's awesome, and I want to be like her.
I love that. Carrie has the biggest heart ever.
Because she just like really, when we talk about leading with your heart, Carrie is a fantastic example of that. She does not make it about anything else other than she just wants to help other people feel better. And I just admire that about her.
Yeah, that's amazing. Okay, anyone else? Shout outs? Chris, do you want to shout someone out?
Well, my shout out would go again to Jenna, because she has posted amazing posts this week. And it's been slow, like it's been for all of us, as far as enrollments and things like that. I know that she's a little frustrated, but her posts have been so spot on and amazing. And so, yep, I would totally shout her out. And she's such an example of just keeping going and just keep going. And so, yep.
Yeah, she really is. Jenna's amazing. She's so consistent. And I noticed that too this week. Like, her posts have been awesome. And I know we talk about, like, in the past, we've talked about how this month is technically, it's usually slower. I don't love to use that because it's not slower if you're doing the work. We are planting seeds. And so if you're just planting seeds, things are going to flourish. And for Jenna, I like look at her posts and I just think, okay, people are watching. People are watching, and this is the time when all of us are like thinking about the new year and what our goals are and what we want. And so people are looking at those posts going, that's something that is intriguing. Look how good she looks.
She's going to have a huge ripple effect going into everybody's New Year's resolution and everything, just by the way she's planting that seed about the Renew You. I think her posts for that are really, really smart.
Yep, totally. If you guys haven't seen them, go follow Jenna Anderson. Go take a look at her posts because they really are very well done.
You know, one thing I love about, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
One thing I love about Jenna is she is coachable. Like, when we say to do something, she just does it. Like, next thing I see is a post that's exactly what we said to do. Like, she just takes action. That is what I think is and she's so consistent. So I love that.
Awesome. Anybody else have a shout out? Christy, do you have a shout out?
Yes, I do. Kylie Bolin. Holy crap, girl. Kylie, you guys, this girl is the definition of committed. She could easily tonight be like, I have family coming into town. My husband's graduating. We're moving, for heaven's sakes. I've had sick kids. You're going to make me choke up, Kylie. Like, this girl's had kids in the ER. she's like dealing with a lot of heavy stuff and been sick, like, and she still shows up and just still keeps working at it. And it's so inspiring. And I just, if we all were committed like Kylie, we would all like be having such big results, even just personal growth results and like helping people. And like, anyway, I'm just, Kylie, you are an inspiration with your commitment. And I just love you. Mwah.
Oh, thank you.
Love it.
Too emotional for this tonight.
Maybe we do just need to all cry. Literally, like, let's just get the stress, the Christmas holiday stress out. Call it a day, right? Oh, Kylie, way to show up. Seriously. It's
Oh.
hard. What commitment. I love it. Okay, I want to shout out Chantel Cox because she is amazing. She is consistent and her heart is huge. And if you know her, Chantel's kind of a little mouse. Like, she doesn't like talk a lot. She's probably a little more introverted than extroverted. But if you know her, her heart is ginormous and her motives are pure. And so I just want to shout you out, Chantel. You're amazing. Okay, I love you. Any other shout outs, guys? Are we ready to get on with the call? Okay, let's do it. So we are talking about chapter 3. I actually really like this chapter. I'm pretty passionate about the things that she talks about in this chapter, and I really like Sarah Robbins. She is super easy to listen to. She's super easy to read. She's very like concise, but she gets the point across, and I really liked this chapter. So it's all about preparation and thinking like a CEO. So how many people, when we started this business, were ready to just be a CEO and be an entrepreneur and jump into this and knew exactly what we were going to do? Probably most of us did not know what we were doing. And even having, like, some of you had some MLM experience or networking experience. I'm sure it has still been very, very eye-opening, and you've had to learn things differently, especially just because companies do things different. So she says, you know, you are the CEO of your company. And when you think about CEO, what comes to mind?
The boss.
Yeah.
The owner.
That's what, like, yeah, like you just think about, like, you're the boss, right? So she says, you know, when people join, and most of us who joined really joined for the products, we had no idea we were going to do the business. Most of us were not fully prepared to be a business owner. I know I wasn't. I literally did not have any clue on what I was doing. So she says that, you know, she's heard that really in networking, the business should be kept really simple and very systematic. So basically what she says is like an 8-year-old could do it, because basically with networking, what are we doing? We're sharing and inviting. And she says, yep, that is totally true. Like, definitely you want to have it simple. You want to be able to keep it systematic. But truth of the matter is, even when it's simple, people still struggle with like limiting beliefs and then lack of motivation. And I know every one of us on this call have struggled with that. That's normal. But that's what kind of can deter us from moving forward. And so she says, what we have to learn how to do is develop an entrepreneurial mindset. And again, that's not something that comes natural. Like, it really isn't. Some people are natural, but I would say the majority of people, it's something we have to work at. So she says, in order to be successful, I want to talk to you. She says 3 things. I want to talk to you about managing your expectations, your emotions, and your time. So she says, when you have control over these 3 areas, anything can be accomplished in your business. And as we continue to go through this, I really feel like this really is spot on. And that these are things that we coach every day on. So it's a good reminder to look at these 3 things. So something that I say often, and she says it in this book, and I probably got it from her when I first started, was treat this like a business and it'll pay like a business. Treat this like a hobby and it'll pay like a hobby. And I really believe that we as CEOs get to decide how we do this. Nobody else can figure this out for you. And she says, when people aren't successful in networking, they do the blame game. They blame their upline, they blame their downline, they blame the products, there's always blame, but really what it comes down to is you. So if you want to treat it like a hobby, that's okay. That's the amazing thing about this business is you get to choose on what you want to do with this business. But when you put in the work, and when you are completely involved, you're going to see success. So she says, it definitely begins with you. She says you need to take action and own your own success. And network marketing professionals take accountability for their actions, their daily activity, and they own their results. I love that because there's been times that like a few years ago, we had a change in the back office. And so many people blamed their stagnant growth on that back office. And really, what it comes down to is, were they doing the same work that they were doing before? Or were they going on and just checking the back office every day and seeing if anything had been changed? So I think we can blame our growth and things like that on other people, but really what it comes down to is us. We get to choose. So she says, developing your blueprint for entrepreneurial success, you need to implement systems and establish hours of operation. How many of you guys right now, by the raise of hand, can say you have hours of operation? Okay, we've got a few of these, some of these. This is something that I think when I first started, because I was so busy, I was working 2 jobs, I established hours of operation. Yes, I still had nights where I was up late or whatever, but I had to do that because I was so busy. And I feel like as my schedule's kind of freed up, I actually have lacked on hours of operation. And this is the thing. This is so important. At the beginning of your week, every single week, you need to sit down and write what you're committed to. 2 hours here, 1 hour here. And of course, things are going to change. But she really, I don't know, it just really hit me hard when I was reading this and listening to it, that hours of operation are huge. Because when you commit to those hours and you treat it like a business, that's where you're going to see changes. When you're in and out and, following up with messages and things like that, yeah, you're working, right? But are you really committed? Are you really sitting down? Are you really reaching out? Are you really doing the things that she's going to talk about, which is sharing and inviting? It's not hard, but is that what you're doing? So I would recommend tonight, there's a few little challenges I want to give you. One of those challenges is for the rest of the week, it's Tuesday night. If you can write down your hours of operation, I think you will see better results, especially with Christmas coming. And even if it's 15 minutes a day, guys, whatever you can do, if you can set those hours of operation and work in those hours or minutes or whatever it is, you'll feel better about your business, right? Does anyone want to share anything about hours of operation? Have you seen changes when you do it? Have you noticed that when you don't do it, you're not as successful?
I have something to share really quick. I was thinking about this the other day, and I really am convinced, just like Kimberly said, sometimes we buy the lie that, if I just had more time, then I could really work my business. No, I got to Emerald with my husband working full time still. I had lots of little kids. I was still doing hair 2 full days a week, and I still went Emerald in a year. Was it perfect? No, there was a lot of late nights, I'll be honest. And there was a lot of, but I've told this a million times. I said, these 3 days of the week, I'm leaving my house so that I can have 3 to 4 hours of work time. And I was burning rubber during that time. So I feel like it's such a lie to think I need more time, because we can make the most out of small pockets of time. Sometimes now I have more time, my husband is more flexible, and I find that sometimes I can be less effective when I don't have those really intentional pockets of time.
Yep, totally. And that totally goes along with what she says. She said, I've heard people say, you can work your business part-time, but not sometime. Isn't that so true? Like, you really have to work your business. And she says, what does that mean? It means that with the hours you do have to put into your business, you must be planned and purposeful. You must be prepared. And I truly believe, like, if you write your hours of operation, that is the first step in getting to where that's going to be intentional and you're going to be working with purpose rather than being scatterbrained. And if that means, like Christy, like, I remember she'd go to Starbucks all the time. And I have found that unless I'm working with people at my house is not a good place for me to work. And so that's something that I've had to learn too, is I have to go somewhere and work, because then I'm like more focused. I don't see laundry and things like that. Like if I have team members over, it's like, oh, okay, like we're focused. But when I'm by myself, I just get scatterbrained. So, so it says, establish your hours of operation. And she kind of gives some guidelines, which I thought were interesting. So building a network marketing business is no different. It's important that you set aside a minimum of 10 to 15 hours of income producing activity per week if you desire to duplicate a larger network. How many of you are putting 10 to 15 hours a week into your business? You don't need to raise your hands or anything. Okay, good. Raise your hands. But those are a lot of hours, especially when I know every single one of these people on this call are busy. So dedicating that time is huge. And she says, if you want to just sell some retail products, you can probably do less. But all of us are on this call because we want to build teams. And we're passionate about our teams. And so 10 to 15 hours is minimum. And yes, sometimes it sucks. And somewhere in here, she talks about doing the hard things now so that you can have the amazingness later. And that's what you have to keep in mind, is that yes, those 10 to 15 hours suck and you're taking time away from maybe the people you love or the Netflix series that you love or whatever, but you're creating something that's going to be so much bigger down the road. And if you can keep that big picture, that's what's going to keep you going. So she says, of course, we need to avoid busy work, right? And she says, busy work does not count towards your time. So busy work is comprised of, and we all do this, checking Facebook, cleaning your office. I love that. How many times do you like pick things up and move it to the other place because you don't want to send a message, right? Calling your team to chat, or refreshing your sales report over and over again to see what's happening in your business. Guilty. Income producing activity consists of a few things. You guys, I'm so bad at reading comments. So if there's like a comment, or if you want to talk, please talk, because I don't want to talk the whole time. So if you guys have anything to say, please share it. Okay, so she says, IPA, income producing activity, consists of a few things. Sharing your business and inviting people to learn more. Sharing your product or service and inviting people to try them. Follow-ups, signing people up, and getting them started. So if you could do those 3 things every day, if you could get your hours of operation, 10 to 15 hours per week, you're going to see some changes. Okay, and she says, if you find yourself at all overwhelmed by your daily commitments, I encourage you to look at what can be cut out, such as the long phone conversations with friends, watching your TV programs, sitting on social media. You may have to learn to say no for a little while so that in the future you can say yes to the things you love for the rest of your life. I love it. So I would encourage you to kind of just look at maybe some of the things that you can cut out. Recently, I'm going to be honest, we got into watching Vampire Diaries. Can't believe I'm telling you this. Guys, it like took up so much of my time. It's like the most ridiculous teenage show ever. It's ridiculous. The vampires are cute, not going to lie. But I was talking to my husband about this and I'm like, I am wasting so much time. Even if we started like at 10 o'clock at night and we watched 1 or 2 episodes, that is 2 hours that I could put into my business. That is 2 hours that is going to provide me freedom sooner than later. So, and vampires aren't real, so I gave it up. But it was kind of fun for a minute, but then I realized like it is just not good. Christy, you're just like laughing over there. They're not real, guys. They're cute, but they're not real. Okay. So, she says you have to be willing to pay a price for true time and financial freedom. And she says, again, you'll have to consider where you can make short-term exchanges for long-term reward. I love that she brings that up a couple times. Okay, the next thing she talks about is, wait. Oh, yes, I'm crushing your Edward dreams, Christy. Sorry. Okay, the story of the starving baker. So what this is,
Can you hear me?
you guys probably read it,
No.
but, I love food.
You guys hear me?
No.
No?
No.
Yeah?
Yes, now I can.
I said, Kim, can you guys, no? I think my internet's crappy out here. I'm so sorry. It's Wyoming life. I wanted to just kind of comment on what you were talking about as far as like distractions and that kind of stuff. I just think it can be hard sometimes to be disciplined in your time management when you have a business. And it's not always going to be fun to do your IPA. It's a lot more fun to just like do something else that's not going to give you any payoff. But I think being disciplined and viewing that as like your discipline in your business, like that is something that's going to really pay itself off in the future. And I think that distractions can look like a lot of different things, whether it's friends, hanging out with friends, or going somewhere, or I don't know. I just kind of wanted to just like mention that because I actually feel like I've had some distractions in my life that are kind of, I don't know, maybe taking some of my mental attention away from my business. And I feel like with my business, I have not been able to be disciplined in giving it the kind of focused attention that I need to be giving it. Does that make sense?
Totally. It's true. Just distractions do come in all sorts of ways. And Chris, I totally agree. Chris wrote that her family doesn't understand that this is a business. Like sometimes I really do feel like people think like this is a side gig and it's just fun and you have friends and you do retreats and stuff like that. And it's like, no, this is a business. And so in the book too, Sarah talks about like sometimes you have to invest in something so that you can get rewards. So for her, it was house cleaning. She needed someone to come in to clean her house because she could make more money working her business than cleaning her house. It freed up a whole afternoon. And Chris is saying that she's looking into an office space somewhere that she may have to pay, but it's going to be a space that she can go to and work where her family isn't going to be bothering her and she's not going to be distracted. So I think looking at what's going on and what is your distraction? What do you need to do? What do you need to remove? Or where do you need to go so that you can focus on your business? Does it mean you hire a nanny 2 hours a day for 3 days a week? Whatever that is, whatever you need to invest in, the payoff is going to be much greater. Chris.
And I think too, for me, I didn't want to run a business. Do you know what I mean? So even for me, for my mindset, because I love the aspect of helping others, like I get my high off of hearing that it's changed somebody this way or changed somebody, like that's my high off of Plexus. And so the running the business side, I think for me, I've had to really work hard on the fact that this is a business and I have to run it, even though I never wanted to run a business. Does that make sense?
Totally.
And so I have to, and I think that's probably part of having my family respect those boundaries of when I do get in the motion of running my business. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so anyways, so I think like Katie said, a ton goes into it to find what works. And it really is simple. Like I know when I do the simple steps, the results are huge. And so I think it's like anything. I think it's like weight loss. I think it's like anything that we know the basic steps, and it's just simply, again, like Katie said, the discipline and the mindset to do it.
Yep, totally. How many times have you seen someone who's lost weight and you're like, oh my gosh, you look so good. What have you done? And they're like, I ate right and I exercised. And you're like, oh, that's like, what? Why? There's no quick fix. It's the simple things that are hard. I'm not saying that was easy, but it's that consistency. And finding that consistency is huge.
And that's kind of boring.
Yeah.
That's not exciting. Nobody wants to hear that you lost weight the slow way. Like for me, when people ask me how I lost weight and I tell them that, they just like lose interest almost immediately. Yes, it's not sexy. It's not exciting. It's not sexy. It's not like, I honestly, yeah, it's this is why I want to start my own coaching business, is because like, I don't want to like tell people exactly what they need to do to lose weight. I want to teach them how to change their mindset towards what they need to do to lose weight, because it's in our head and we have to learn to be patient with it. And I think that's the same thing with our business. Like, it's not going to be super fun and exciting every single day to do your reach outs, right? And even sometimes it's like, we might even get hurt a couple times or get our feelings hurt, or we do expose ourselves to these things in our business that we need to do. But that's part of it, the work. Just like when you're losing weight slowly, it's not, does that make sense? Like, it's not, there's not some big secret. I think we all know what we need to be doing in our own businesses. We just maybe tell ourselves that we don't know what to do and we're looking for some kind of other answer or some other way. You know what I mean?
Or some magic algorithm or some magic something that all of a sudden you're going to get all these people, and that's not what it's about. It's about that consistency, and it's about the simplicity of doing it simple but doing it. And like, it's true, like sometimes people, when you start messaging people and you start telling them, well, you got to give it at least 90 days, and they're like, 90 days, I want 50 pounds off this month, I have a wedding. And it's like, no, like, that's not the way this is. And so it can be a turnoff to people, but it's true. Like, yes, that's such a great example. And it really does come down to mindset. And that's actually the next thing that she talks about. Is she talks about the story of the starving baker. And basically he's this baker who has this amazing bakery. Everything's beautiful. Like, the pastries are just awesome. She says this baker is brilliant. You order your treat, you watch as he does his thing. It's amazing. He cleans the tables. He tends to the cat. I mean, he does everything all on his own. He greets the guests. And then you notice that this baker's thin. Like, who wants to go to a bakery that the baker's thin? Like, does he not eat his food? Right? And you begin to think, he's so busy baking for others, he's forgetting to eat. He's starving himself. And how many of us are the starving baker? How many of us are starving ourselves of the good fuel for our minds? She says, are you that starving baker? Most of us are so busy that we fall into starving baker mode. We get so wrapped up in our jobs, our problems, the house, errands, and everyone else, and their matters, that we never push pause and take the time to feed ourselves. We feel hollow. Sometimes we feel fake. And I know so many of us have felt hollow and fake. You are not fake. What you are is a starving baker. You've gotten so busy, you've stopped growing. And we've all been there, right? So what she talks about is taking time for your personal and professional growth. Just like we eat breakfast every morning, we feed our bodies, we need to be feeding our minds. And that's something that needs to happen every single day. She says, if I could encourage all of you to implement one thing today, it would be to plan to wake up each day, and just as you eat your breakfast to fuel your body, begin to feed your mind. You can only go as far as you grow. And I actually asked Katie to share a little bit about personal growth. She says that, I'm just going to let you share, but Katie is such an example of someone who has completely changed in the last 3 or 4 years. I have known Katie in some of her darkest days, and I have seen her change, literally change as a person, someone who radiates light. And so I just wanted her to share a little bit of what personal growth and like what she's done and how it's changed her life.
You're making me cry over here. That's really nice to hear, because I'm actually having a really crappy day, which is going to happen. I think sometimes we think that crappy days mean we're crappy or life is crappy, and they're just part of it. It just is what it is. But like for me, I'm really passionate about this particular subject, because I, like Kim said, I have really had to feed myself and nourish my brain and nourish my heart and really kind of pour into myself in order to be the version of Katie that I am today. Because Kim is, I think, Nicole knew me, but Nicole didn't know me as well. But you guys, not very many people knew me a few years ago, and I was very, very different. And that change didn't just happen. It was something that I really had to just wake up and try again every single day when things got hard. And gosh, but the cool thing is, though, for me, like, because I can look back, even a year ago, I can look back and go, wow, I am a lot different than I was a year ago. I have developed myself as a leader. I've had to learn to do things that really make me uncomfortable, and that kind of like, okay, sorry, I'm kind of scatterbrained. I think I might have concussion. So like personal development, when we talk about personal development, I always think of things like listening to podcasts, reading books, and just taking the time to do something that's going to nourish you. And lately for me, that's been my workouts. I've been doing yoga. I make sure I go to bed early. But in this business, I really think it's so important to be intentional with growing and learning more about human beings and human nature, and not even just like business. I think that there's so many resources out there. Like, I've really enjoyed Brooke Castillo's podcast. She talks a lot about just things that you wouldn't think would pertain to a network marketing business, but they do, because it really helps you to understand how your brain works and why we hold ourselves back from things. And I love what we were talking about earlier about how we really do overcomplicate things. And when we do these types of book clubs, like, this is exactly what we're doing with our personal development, is we're working on our mindset, we're working on our brains, we're working on our belief system and how we view things. If we don't take the time to learn about this type of stuff, we really aren't going to be able to grow as a leader and as a person. So like for me tonight, my biggest takeaway is going to be that we overcomplicate things, almost in a weird way, like on purpose, because it's like, you know, it's an easy way for us to just be like, this is too much for me. I'm not going to do this. You know what I'm saying? And so, but anyway, I really truly think that we underestimate how important it is to pour into ourselves. I think especially as women, we tend to think of that as a very selfish thing, and we don't prioritize it. I think personal development, as far as like listening to podcasts and reading books, that takes discipline, and that takes time out of our free time in our lives, but it's really, really important. And it can make seriously all the difference in your business and you as a leader, to truly take the time to pour into yourself.
I love that. It's so true. And I do think that a lot of times people feel like they're being selfish when they go to work out, or when they're listening to podcasts or whatever it is, reading a book, if they're taking time away from their family. And really in the book, she talks about her come to the parking lot moment. She was doing all the work, doing everything she should be doing, Sarah Robbins was, but she wasn't progressing. And her mom's friend called and said, Sarah, do you want to know what's missing? And she thought, oh my gosh, she's going to give me the magic, what I need to do, and everything's going to be great. And she said, I was so excited. And she says, you are doing all the right things by going through all the right motions. You're showing up to every meeting and call. Your problems is that your thoughts towards your business and your team don't align with your goals for success. And guys, our minds have to align with our goals. If our minds don't align, you will never push forward. So it's so important to every day feed our minds. Every single day. It is not selfish. It is part of this business. We always joke about how, personal growth, we get paid for personal growth. Well, good golly, we are so lucky that we do. And because we do personal growth, we have a ripple effect on thousands of people through social media, through the people that sign up, through our families. Guys, you are going to change generations by the personal work that you do. That's pretty incredible. So don't think it's selfish. Do it every day. Change your mindset. Work on it. It's so important. There's so many good points that she talks about. And if you haven't read it, I really hope that you go through it. I mean, there's not enough time to go through everything she says about mindset, but go through. What's your attitudes about success? What is your attitude about growing? What do you need to do to start doing some positive affirmations? What is your vision like? What have you created? Do you have a vision board? She said, on her phone, every time she opened her phone, it was her son. And she knew she was doing this business for her son. What is it that you're doing this business for? Like, where is your attitude about this? Because when you can cast a vision and you can create goals, you're going to create abundance in your life and you're going to create success. Because when your mind is aligned with your goals, all sorts of magic can happen. So, the last thing she talks about, and it's something that Christy and I are so passionate about, and that's your why. It starts on page 35, and she says, making your dream a reality. And she just talks about how important it is to figure out what your why is. Because it's your long-term vision for success in your business. And so she says, how can you know the route to take if you don't know where you're going? How can you bring others with you? So she says, clearly write down why you are doing your business. The more specific, the more powerful it will be. Make it compelling so it causes you to find the time, face your fears, and persevere. And that's what it really comes down to, guys. What is it that's going to drive you through those crappy days? Like Katie said, sometimes there's disappointments, a lot of disappointments. How many times do you have to hear no before you get a yes? Sometimes that's frustrating. But that's just part of what it is. But when you have good mindset and you have a clear why, that's what's going to propel you through those days. So, anyone have any, would anyone want to share their why?
I'll share mine if nobody else wants to.
Okay.
For me, I will never forget the version of myself. Because I know there's a lot of other moms out there that were like me. And that, makes me emotional to talk about it. I want to help other women who don't have their health, their mental health, and their physical health to feel well and be the mom they want to be and be the person they want to be. I fully believe, you guys, that if it wasn't for Plexus, I would have probably gained all my weight back. And I'd still be struggling with depression and anxiety. I wouldn't look good. I'd probably look just sad and tired. And so for me, I just know that there are women out there living their lives like I was 4 years ago. That's my why. So
I love that. Anyone else?
Nicole is messaging saying that she's completely lost her voice, or she would share. I agree with you, Katie. I want to help others.
Oh, I love it.
That's a beautiful thing.
Yep. Chris?
I'll share oh, Chris, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, we've talked about how the whys change. And I remember sitting down with Christy in May, and it is funny how this does make you emotional, but when we sat down at the beginning of May and we all had our big goals, she asked me what my why was, and we wrote it down. And I was just looking at that paper. I still have it up on my wall in my office. And I just was looking at it yesterday. And my why at the time was to take my daughter to the dentist, because I hadn't been able to do that since we lost our insurance. And when I went to the dentist and paid almost $2,000 for her to have her teeth fixed over these last 6 months, it's probably closer to $3,000 if I really think about it. But to be able to take her and have everything done that needed to be able to be done because of Plexus was amazing to me. And now my why has shifted a little bit from that, because I've accomplished that and I want to keep being able to take her to the dentist. But for me, that was, I remember sitting down writing and crying about that because I couldn't take her. I knew she needed a ton of work, and I knew that we just could not do that. And I remember writing that on that paper and just being so emotional about that. And so once you write that why and then you accomplish that why, it really is life-changing. And part of my other why is like Katie's, because there are so many of us that, like, I think all the time how we're told to enjoy the journey. And I had my grandkids today, and the one was screaming his head off, and I thought, I didn't enjoy the journey with my kids when they were little. And my older ones will tell you that they knew I wasn't enjoying the journey. And that makes me really sad. And I'm so grateful that I have the opportunity to enjoy the journey of where I'm at now with my younger kids and my grandkids. And that I look at all these younger moms, and I don't want them to have their kids all grown and leave and feel like they didn't enjoy the journey, because I didn't even realize how much I wasn't enjoying the journey until I could see how it could have been. And so there's a lot of components to a why, and I think it's really good to have it where we can see it all the time.
I agree. Totally. Christy, did you have something?
Yeah, Chris, I love that. Like, to me, that's the thing, is I was talking to one of my friends yesterday, really candidly and open about what we do. And it's just so crazy how it's just so much bigger than we think it is. It's so much bigger than we think it is. We think it's about a Lexus and about a trip and about money. And yes, those things facilitate a lifestyle that brings joy, and that is great. But we, like Kimberly said earlier, man, you guys, just seeing the effects that this personal growth has had on the thousands of people. And I get a little emotional about my family, because when I think about, I had a moment at Gold Retreat when Brooke was sharing really, really transparent, like she got really emotional. And she said, I just know that if I didn't do this, my husband would have lost his mind. And she could barely even talk because she was so emotional, because Thomas's family has a lot of mental illness. And the way that he was working himself into like a breakdown. And she started sobbing. Like, I've never seen Brooke cry like that. I have, actually, but not in front of people, right? And at that moment, I got chills head to toe, and I have chills right now. I actually had to leave the room because I was like sobbing. And I had this moment of like, oh my gosh, like if I think about if I didn't do Plexus, like, guys, I'm not saying this to sound cheesy or whatever. I know my family wouldn't be together anymore. And those of you that know like the inside story, we wouldn't be together. And my kids' faces flashed in my mind, my precious husband. And I thought, oh my gosh, God knows this is so much bigger than anything that we think. And I think like the ripple effect that it's had on my marriage, my why is so much bigger than it ever was, because guys, there's so many sick marriages out there because of health and finances. There's so many sick families because of health and finances. And my why has become so much more about helping people get healthy physically, financially, and in their marriages so that families can thrive. So I just, man, guys, my why is so much different than it used to be. And the things that really fire me up now is hearing Katie Tucker and Chris and Jess and Kimberly and Carol, like every one of you sharing your whys and going to the dentist. Like, to me, that is my why. Your whys are my why. Truly, that's what makes me get up and go and do a recording at 10 o'clock when I'm tired. Like, that's what makes me do it, is because I am so committed to support you in showing up to create your why. And I know that it matters big time, not just little.
I love that. Thank you guys for sharing. Does anyone else want to share? Okay. I don't want to take all of your night because it's close to 10, but I do want to challenge you to reevaluate your why. Know that it is so important, and you've got to have that vision. You've got to have those goals of what it is. And sometimes those goals, like the why might be really, really big, but like she talks about, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Sometimes we have to shrink those goals so they seem more attainable, but still have that big goal in mind. But I would really encourage you to get that vision of what your why is. Post pictures. Go ride an Alexis if that's if that's what you want. Pick a picture of Maui. Put a picture of your kids or your husband or a family member that you want to help. Whatever it is, that is your why. Get clear on that. Because that is what is going to keep you going. That is what is going to keep you going through the hard days, the good days. And yes, it's going to evolve, and that's okay. That's the beautiful thing about this business, is when you achieve that why, or when you've had a raise in your leadership lit or whatever it is, you get to go back to that why, and you get to find something just as grand to drive you. So write it down. She says, take 2 hours and write your why down. Like, she means business, guys. She wants you to be clear. And that's something that Christy and I are so passionate about, because we know when you have a why, that's going to drive you. That's where the success will be. And then you start working on your personal growth. And if it means that you have to focus more on just learning how to love yourself or whatever it is, that's okay. It's okay. Sometimes she talked about, she actually for 2 years had to focus more on personal growth than business. She's a 7-figure income earner. And that was something that she had to clear her mind. She had to figure out what she wanted in her business. And then she had to be able to say, I am a successful business person, because what she was in her mind and what she was doing were two different things. So guys, you're amazing. Thank you for showing up tonight. We will continue. Are we just doing chapter 4 next week? Or are we doing 4 and 5? Do you know, Chris? Oh, that's Christmas. Are we doing it next? Guys, it's Christmas.
No, so we won't be together again until 1st of January.
Oh, wow.
There may be a surprise call in there, so stay tuned if something comes up, but we're not going to have we'll do chapter 4 like first week of January. So.
Okay. So thank you for showing up. We love you guys so, so much. So proud of everything that's going on. And we hope you guys have a good holiday.
Thank you so much, Kimberly. That was beautiful.
Love you guys. Good night.